Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. Get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked. Hello, 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 everybody. It's Tanya here with you today, and it's just me. And I want to talk about something that I get a ton of questions about, and it seems to be a fascinating topic and one that has a lot of debate around it. Of course, a lot of things related to sex do, but this one in particular, I just got asked this question the other day again, which is, how can you tell if a woman is actually aroused? And can you ever truly know if she's faking orgasms? Yeah, that is an interesting question. Now, in a lot of men's groups that I've taught, yes, believe it or not, I actually teach men's groups, which is kind of fascinating, right? In a lot of men's groups I've taught, a lot of workshops I've taught men, and radio interviews that I've done, there is a belief that you as men can tell, that you know for sure. All right, so let's break this down. How can you tell if a woman is aroused? Well, maybe the most important question is, why would a woman fake it? We might be surprised to know that men fake that too. You think, how does a man fake having an orgasm? Well, if you take the condom off, if you're wearing a condom and you take it off and nobody knows that you've ejaculated or not. I know men. I've heard men tell me, not my men, but other men tell me that they have faked it before. All right, so why would a woman fake it? And why do you need to know if she has? These are interesting questions. So most women have faked orgasms. Why? Because multiple reasons, but typically because they're not really aroused. They're just not feeling it. And they know that you're going to continue to do whatever it is you're going to continue to do to try to get them off. So they're like, yeah, let's just get this over with. And so they fake it. Can a woman fake an orgasm enough for you to believe it? Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So is there any foolproof way to know? No. Because guess what? So what are the telltale signs that a woman is aroused to begin with? Let's just start with arousal. By the way, it really doesn't benefit, if women are listening to this, you need to stop faking it. It doesn't benefit men when we fake orgasm, because what happens is then the man thinks the things that he's doing work. So he'll continue to do the same things. So women, stop that. And men, if you've had women that have faked and you know they've faked it, if you have to ask the question, did you come? Then, you can ask that question, but it clearly, if you're thinking she didn't, then maybe don't ask the question like that. Maybe just find out what turns her on more. Like, hey, I love turning you on. I'd love to find out different ways that turn you on and things like that. But we do feel a lot of pressure. So first of all, women feel a tremendous amount of pressure to have an orgasm. Think about that statement. Pressure to have an orgasm and have it soon and fast, like in 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. A woman is created to have an orgasm in 90 seconds, just like a man is. And most women, when they self-pleasure, can have an orgasm in under 3 minutes. So why does it take so long with another person? Okay, there's a whole bunch of emotional stuff that goes in that. But also the nuance of a woman, how a woman wants to be touched, is so nuanced that just a minute hair to the left or right, or too hard or too soft or whatever, messes up the whole thing. One of those issues is women learn to masturbate a certain way, and if they do it a way that a man can't mimic, it's really difficult to have an orgasm a different way. Men tend to have a bigger range that they can figure out how to get off in. Women have pretty narrow ranges, and sadly, we create that through our self-pleasuring habits. And Just like if a woman is using the edge of a pillow, she learns to rub against the edge of a pillow. How are you going to recreate the edge of a pillow if her legs are closed and she's doing this certain thing and whatever? It's almost impossible. So women will say to me, well, how in the world do I learn to orgasm with my partner when I'm so specific in how I orgasm or how I get off that there's no way he can recreate that? Okay, that's a good point. So that is one thing. All right. Why does she fake it? Well, a lot of women fake it because they are embarrassed that it's taking so long. They think you're bored that it's taking so long. They don't feel it. So it's like, I'm never really going to get there. I don't want to explain it. I'll just fake it. And then we'll do that. The pressure is that men typically don't want to be selfish. So the pressure is he gets her off so then he can get to the good part, whatever that good part is. For most men, it's intercourse. And so if you're trying to get her off so you can then get to your get off, we feel that pressure. So first of all, that's the biggest thing. Most women don't do well when they feel pressure to have an orgasm. And so consequently, any type of pressure is. And if we just happen to be in the wrong hormonal phase, or you've said something, or we're not feeling connected, a million reasons there emotionally, that we're just not going to be there, but we don't also want to hurt your feelings. So then there's that, because a lot of men are really orgasm fixated. You have to ask yourself why. If you're orgasm fixated, is it because you really, when a man really want to turn her on, or is it more because you don't want to be a jerk if you get off and she doesn't? So you got to ask yourself that question. I've explored all these options or all these questions with men. If a man says to me, oh my gosh, I'm going to make you come so hard, I'm like, oh, holy crap. I'm like, dude, seriously, don't set yourself up for that. And they're all kind of like, what? And it's like, don't set yourself up for that. That means to me that you think you're in charge of giving me an orgasm. Think about that. You think you're in charge of giving me an orgasm. Like it's your job to give me an orgasm. Our whole interplay now is going to be about you giving me that orgasm. And if I don't have it, you don't give it to me, whatever happens, now we've got a problem. Here you go. Or consequently, I've had men also say, well, you're just frigid. So, either one is not a good option for women. And so if we're not feeling it and feel like we don't want to let you down and you're working hard at doing it and we're just not there, maybe you're awesome at what you're doing and we're just not there. Wouldn't it be great just to not even have that pressure? Like I don't have to get off. And if the reason that you're trying to get me there is because then you feel better about your getting yours, that's a problem, right? So hopefully this is kind of making sense. And I know I'm a little bit going all over the place today. I hope you can stay with me because I realized I was going to talk about arousal, what that looks like, how can you tell, and everything else. And then I went off on the pressure. But why do women fake it? Let's just stay with that. Pressure on themselves to like if I don't come easily, then there's something wrong with me. I'm not sexy. I'm not hot. I need to be able to just like be ready in seconds because porn is teaching everybody that women are just ready with no preamble, nothing. We're just ready. So we give ourselves pressure. Porn gives us pressure. Men who are trying to get us off because they think they're in charge of getting us off versus understanding that we fall into and surrender to pleasure. It's nobody's job to get anybody off. That's a lot of pressure. If we love you, like you, want to have sex with you again, we don't want you to think there's something wrong with us or there's something wrong with you. All of these things. And sometimes you're just not very good. I mean, the reality is you might have been good for one person, but you're not good for somebody else. I remember having sex with a partner and he's going off and going and going and going. He's intercourse, right? Pounding away, pounding away, pounding away, pounding away. And I'm like, yo, what? Hello, hello. And he's like, what? And I said, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, baby, this is for you. And I'm like, well, I checked out a long time ago. I don't know what you're doing right now. And he goes, what? And I said, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm just trying to last. And I'm like, for what? Why are you trying to last? And he's like, well, yeah, all my partners come this way. I've come this way. And I'm like, well, they're all under 25, right? And he stopped finally. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, if this is your idea of getting out, they were all just getting worn out, numb, and they just faked it to get it over with. And he's like, looked at me with this look on his face, like some of you might have right now, which is like, what? This had never occurred to him before. Well, one, there's a couple another thing that should have occurred to him, which is the fact that he just totally dissed me by telling me everybody else came that way. And that means there must be something wrong with me. So that's not cool either, right? Oh my gosh. How many things can go wrong? The majority of women do not climax through intercourse. 87% of women do not get off through intercourse, no matter how long you last. Can a woman learn to do that if she doesn't? Yes, of course. Can you learn how to be a better lover with intercourse? Yes, you can. Oral sex. If you're too hard or too soft or too pointed or not, you're trying to do the alphabet, many crazy things. You may not be good at your fingers. Fingers are tough. Fingers are hard. You use them hard, that doesn't work, or you don't use them hard enough. I mean, there's so many variables. And guess what? Ovulation, hormones, sometimes women like it harder. Sometimes they like it softer. Sometimes they like it like this, like that, like this. Whew. And most of us as women learn to accommodate what we are actually feeling. I'm going to say that again. We learn to get off even if we're not really aroused, because what you're giving us, we figure we have to get off on, whatever that is. So women will put themselves in situations where they're not even aroused and they're forcing an orgasm to happen. Can you force an orgasm? Yes, you can. Hold your breath, super high tension in your body, focused point. Like if somebody makes a sound right now, it's all gone. That's forcing an orgasm. That's not falling into pleasure. So forcing an orgasm, a woman just has to be so single focused on that minute amount that sometimes happens just right or whatever, making it happen typically doesn't mean that we were aroused to begin with and we're just trying to get off. We can do that. Falling into pleasure is uncontrollable. There is no trying to happen. It takes us over. It's an entirely different orgasm. So forced orgasms are, I even think of them as masculine. They're action oriented, whereas pleasure orgasms, falling into pleasure, is just that, falling into. It's a surrender into versus a trying to get there. Trying to get off, different quality of feeling than falling into it. Okay, so is it cool that women fake orgasms? No, it's not. Is it cool that you didn't know they were faking them? I don't know. I mean, we're so good at it, like, I don't know how you would know. So then that begs the question, what does a woman actually look like or feel like when she's aroused? All right, so the physical cues. Can she be wet? Women can be wet without being aroused. Okay, so that's not a way to tell. Could she be engorged, meaning that her labia, all her lips, her vaginal canal, her clitoris, everything is doubled in size. It's engorged, full of blood. That's a sign, yes. And guess what? Not a complete sign either, because sometimes women just have more blood flow. And some women are so disconnected from how they physically feel, they can have all the physical signs of arousal, but not feel it at all. Or they can actually have orgasms and not feel the orgasm at all. That's crazy, but it's true and it happens. So there's the physical, like contraction, like if you're inside her with your fingers or your penis and you're feeling these waves of contractions, you might be going, oh, look, she's having an orgasm. Women can contract. Women can contract on you without having an orgasm. And like I said, some women are contracting, but not connected to the feeling of it. They can't tell. Bucking, screaming, moaning, writhing, uncontrollable shaking. Nope, we all have that down. We all know how to make that happen. Yes, I remember when. Yes, I too, when I was very young, had faked orgasms as well for all of these reasons and above. So you can't really tell. I mean, a woman could be begging you to bang her and not be aroused. Why could she be doing that? Well, because she wants you to think she's hot and ready right away. And she thinks that if you had to spend 2 minutes or 5 minutes pleasuring her, that you'd be put off by it. Believe it or not, women have a timer in their head. And for some women, the idea that you might have to touch her for 5 minutes, she's thinking is forever, taking forever for you, because now she's micromanaging you. And you must be bored or thinking she's not hot or whatever it is. So there's a lot of false miscommunication, false happenings and stuff with sex. And yeah, I do have men that say, no, I can always tell. Okay. All right. That's fine. So what do we do? What do we do about all this? If this is new information to you and you are like, OMG, I had no idea what the heck, my mind is blown. Now I'm freaked out. Maybe these women have been faking it. Remember, everybody needs to be accountable for their own stuff. So if women didn't fake it, men wouldn't get the idea that they understood if a woman was aroused and or if she was having an orgasm. So there's that. So I do think women need to stop faking it. All of us need to stop putting pressure as orgasm being the main event, or not the main event. Actually, intercourse is typically what the men think is the main event. But if her orgasm is the means for you to get to what you really want to get, you need to stop that too, because that is I'm giving you to get that, not I'm just being in pleasure. When men tell me it's all about me, I hate that. Oh my gosh, honey, this is going to be all about you. I get so turned on turning you on. I'm like, wow, that's pressure too, right? What happens if I'm just not into it? What happens if I just want to fool around and I'm not interested in getting off? Is that cool? Is that all right? Does that somehow lessen your pleasure? So my pleasure now, your pleasure is based on mine? Yeah, right. So having these conversations with men, starting with like, hey, let's fool around. And by the way, yeah, I'm not feeling it today. And we're going to be okay with that. Wow. What would happen if a woman said that to you? Would you have a problem with sex then? Would you start doubting like your manhood or how good you were as a lover or whether or not you should continue on? Like, should you have an orgasm or not? But if we took everybody's orgasm off the table and made this about pleasure, and so if pleasure was the main event, whatever that looked like, and not saying that pleasure had to be at a 9 out of 10, but just that we're enjoying each other and having pleasure that may come and go, like that may feel good for a moment and now it doesn't. Great. Hey, we're making out and now I'm kind of done with that. Awesome. Everybody can be in charge of their own pleasure. If you get turned on, it shouldn't have to lead to a conclusion of something. If everybody would be able to do that, all of us would be having much better sex lives because, the idea that an ejaculation or orgasm is the end game of coming together, no pun there, coming together, being together, connecting together, fooling around, having enjoyment, physical pleasure. If we took that off the plate, we'd be more creative. We wouldn't do push button sex where it's like, oh, I know how to get you off quick, so I'll get you off so I can get off. We wouldn't use sex as a medication tool because yes, orgasms relieve tension. So a lot of us then use sex as a medication tool. So we're like basically just using each other to relieve anxiety. That's not sexy. If women were able to tell the truth, would men be able to take it? I've explored that a little bit. I have found that even if I'm delicate about how I explain it, even if I do all the right communication tools, my partners can be hurt. I remember telling one of my partners that he was, hey, you're being a little rough with my nipples. I prefer it like this. I said, yay, when it was good. I love that, whatever. But then he stopped doing it as much. And one day I asked him like, so what happened? You used to touch my breasts a lot. Now you aren't. What happened? And he goes, well, you didn't like what I was doing. And I said, well, and I gave you a way to do it differently. So what does that mean? So a bunch of us are trying to fit into each other's sexual compatibility. Like sexual compatibility is a thing where people have styles that work out sexually. Not everybody is sexually compatible. not the timing, not the drive. I'll talk about sexual compatibility and sexual chemistry in another episode. But for now, how can you tell if she's aroused? Probably not. Most women are, out of like a 1 to 100, the majority of women are having sex at about a 10. They don't even know it. Well, if I teach a woman how to actually have arousal, it's crazy town, because she's like, I can't believe that I was having sex and forcing orgasms and getting off when I literally had so little arousal, or I thought that was big arousal and it's nothing. That was a crazy discovery for me as well. So a lot of women are just not having sex with a lot of arousal. A lot of women are in their heads, worried about whether you're bored or not, or you think they look good or smell good or taste good or feel good, or they're too loose or too tight. Ugh, it's exhausting. So with all that exhausting going on, not to mention then daily stress, kids, whatever it is, if the pressure to have an orgasm is now on us too, we are more likely to fake it, so that we just don't have to explain all that stuff. It's a lot of explaining. It's a lot of trying to figure it out ourselves. A lot of women don't even want to take the time to figure all that out. It's easier just to fake it and then fine, we're all good. If a woman is courageous enough to tell you that, yeah, her arousal levels aren't really that high, and even though she loves you, she's just not feeling it. If she can actually say that and it wouldn't crush you, instead you would become curious. And know that most women don't have the answers unless they've had a workshop or gone through coaching and stuff. A lot of them don't have the communication tools or answers to give you. How do I become more aroused? It's a mystery to her too. So if your woman is brave enough to have a conversation with you, please be curious instead of hurt, because it takes a lot for us to say any of these things. To actually say, yeah, no, I'm not really having that much pleasure, or I've fake orgasms, or whatever. It's very, very difficult. Most women would rather fake an orgasm than tell you that they're not having a good time. Oh my gosh. All right. And women, when women are queried about sexual satisfaction, if they've never had an orgasm, of course, they think it's that. If they can have orgasms, even clitoral or vaginal, it doesn't matter. Most of them will tell you that that's not the litmus test for sexual satisfaction. Most women want to feel emotionally connected, and intimacy is far greater satisfaction than the physical act of having an orgasm. So interesting, isn't it? So I'm really interested in what you all think about this. I would love it if you would, email me, tell me what you think, tell me some questions you have around this topic. I really want to get more into what you guys are thinking about, what you're coming away with, what questions you have, so that I can answer these. So email is my name, TANJA at TanyaDiamond.com. So Tanya at TANJA Diamond.com. Tanya, you can find me anywhere. If you know how to spell my name right, you can find contact information for me all over the web. And I want to know what you think about this and what's going on in your mind about it. What kind of questions do you have about women faking orgasm, lack of arousal? Yeah, I want to answer questions for you guys. Come up here. So next, I'm going to talk about, so there it is, faking orgasms. How do we stop it? I don't know. We can all just get a little bit more honest, but how do you get honest in a world that lies all the time is a good question, maybe for a different podcast. But I want to take us on a journey of sexual compatibility versus sexual chemistry versus, all of those things in good relationships, because there's a lot of education missing around these topics that are leading people to have disappointment and dissatisfactory sex lives. And guess what? I know that there's men, like I said in the beginning, that men are faking it too. There are men who get what's called delayed ejaculation or inability to ejaculate. And they'll go on and on and on. And there are many reasons for that. I'll do an episode on that as well as premature ejaculation, separate these things out. But there are men who fake it too. And there are men who actually are bored of sex as well. And I've heard all this from men. And I think that also stems from the fact that we are chasing the wrong things. We're putting the wrong things at the top of the list when it comes to sex and pleasure and really enjoying ourselves. All right, look forward to hearing from you guys again. Once again, if you're into any introductory, I've got a low introductory coaching call available. You can just click the link and come talk to me for a low price. That is going to go up in 2023. Even my low price is going to go up. So you might want to jump in and grab a slot now. It is a coaching session, not a sales call. So you come with a problem and I will coach you through it. Let's see how that goes. Thanks so much. And I'll see you next time.